I got another video for you guys today. The channel from, what is it called? Ace Nate or something. It's another one of these alpha guys, these red pill dudes or something. I'm not sure exactly what he is. I didn't look into his background, but his teaching is very, very similar to these kinds of trends. These alpha guys, these high value man, these red pill dudes. Be a perfect video to react to for you guys. So point out the myths, the lies, crazy teachings that these dudes are doing. And I'm gonna break this down. We're gonna break it up in two ways, man. So one thing I want to point out to you guys right now, man, if you notice these dudes and the way they teach, they're very, very, very emotional. They teach from a position of emotion. It's never reasoning or any facts behind it. It's just emotion. You can tell that at some point in their life they got hurt from a woman very bad. And they just can't get over it, you know. I mean, these guys are deeply hurt. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious. If you got a brain, you can see that yourselves. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. You see, these dudes what they like to do is they like to borrow from the Christian worldview and borrow scripture to try to justify what they think is correct in their teachings. You know what I mean? That's why I'm here. That's why this channel exists, for this reason, to call out all these myths. So let's get into it. Let's break it down. Let's see what he's got to say.
So if this is what godly femininity looks like, don't be surprised when fewer and fewer men want to stick around for it. You can tell a lot about the state of the modern church by how willing the women are to publicly lecture men. It oftentimes is basically nagging, wrapped up in scripture, and manipulation always at its core. It's a big problem for Christianity because it makes the church look like just another place where men get lectured about their nature by women insisting that they know better. And on top of that, you're expected to marry her. And then, of course, throughout the marriage, she's going to use your religion as a weapon, challenging you and your decisions, along the way. And it's not submission at all. It certainly doesn't sound like it to me. At least in the secular world, you can sleep with that woman and walk away without feeling like you've done something wrong. You can escape the nagging, the despair. But in the church, you get the woman who tells you godly men don't need sex and you're expected to stay with her. So apparently in some Roman Catholic circles, sex is treated like an optional extra for men. So telling them no is no problem. After all, they don't need it, right? Be a man. Have self-control. Well, that's what Lila Rose and her friend are saying.
We all talk about Father Mike Schmitz. I showed him to a girlfriend who's not Catholic, and she's like, when's Mass?
What about the man needing sex? That's just a cultural narrative that basically says men are like animals and they have to be able to do this sexual thing. Otherwise, they're going to go crazy. And the reality is there's whole vocations that are celibate. And these are virile men, men's men. Some of the most masculine of men I know are priests. We need food. We need air to breathe. We don't need sex.
It's a gift
of coming together, and it's designed to bring life into the world.
I think the sexiest thing about a guy is like their self-control. And my husband has amazing self-control.
So after baby number 4, when we started practicing NFP, it was like we couldn't do it sometimes when we wanted to. And that kind of made things a little steamier, like not gonna lie. It's hard on him too, don't get me wrong.
So do men need sex? Do they not? I'm going to get into that on the next half of the video. I just want to cover these couple points right now first, because he's still got a lot more to say about that, and he's going to use scripture. I'm just going to break it down to the way you guys can understand. Just follow me for a minute, man. So the problem with these teaching is they think that women cannot teach. They try to use scripture to justify that, which we're going to get into later. But these guys confuse nagging with women complaining to their husband or something, a disagreement. You got to be careful with this, because if a woman teaches a man how to be a man, how to grow up into manhood, of course, they're not qualified to do that. Just like men are not qualified to teach women how to grow into womanhood. Now, that is different than teaching morality, God's design, or how to do things in life. Do not confuse those, because those are all completely different things. They are not the same thing. Another lie that this guy's saying is women are using Christianity to nag at their husbands. Use scripture and God's words to manipulate the marriage or manipulate the man. That's just absolutely false. It's not true. Data out there that shows that Christian women who are practicing their faith every day, real Christian women, are more likely to submit to their husband's teachings and be submissive to their husband. He goes on to say that That's not submissiveness. These guys think submission is for women to submit to their husbands, right? That means is obeying. Submissiveness does not equal obeying. All right, now let's get into the good part.
The first problem here is the messenger. Okay, she's a woman lecturing men about manhood and scripture here. And even inside her own Roman Catholic worldview, that role isn't permitted. The very framework she's appealing to forbids her from teaching or holding authority over men in matters of faith. And not just matters of faith, actually. Scripture says it plainly. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet. For Adam was formed first, then Eve, and Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. That's her own source of authority, saying she should not be doing exactly what she's doing right now. Under a secular worldview, a woman is encouraged to take the lead in conversations like this, to lecture men on sexual behavior and morality, but in her own worldview, it's off limits. Paul says a woman and a man, not a wife and a husband. He's talking about the order between men and women generally, not just in marriage. And when women step into that role anyway, it feeds a bigger problem that the modern church already has, which is the perception that church, again, as I mentioned earlier, is just another place where men get lectured by women, but here they have to marry them. The scripture that she put in her tweet, of course, can be weaponized. It can be used to justify a wife's denial of sex, all while painting herself as virtuous and her husband as less godly for even wanting it. It's pure manipulation. Her example of celibate Catholic priests doesn't prove otherwise, because priests are the exception. They take a vow of celibacy, devote their entire lives to God, and never take wives. At least apparently the Roman Catholic priests. And that's what makes their celibacy possible. Their life is structured around it. But the moment a woman chooses to marry, everything changes. By marrying, she's acknowledging that she's with a man who is not living the life of a celibate priest. She is acknowledging his right and his need for sexual intimacy. That's built into the marriage covenant itself. So when she uses priests as her proof, it doesn't hold. Her own marriage cancels her argument. As for intermittent abstinence, which she also mentioned, that doesn't back up her point either that men don't need it. If she wants to compare it to food, which she did, we can go without food intermittently. That doesn't mean we don't need it. You can go without exercise for a while too, but your body still needs it. You can go without sun for a while, but your body still needs it. And in her own worldview, God knows men need sex. And through Paul directs, do not deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer, then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. So what is that saying? That's saying, yes, you can go celibate intermittently, but always come back to one another because you need sex. And the reason why Satan can tempt you is because you need sex, and so you will act out and commit adultery or have sex outside of marriage because humans need sex, specifically men.
So these guys always refer to the same scripture, 1 Timothy, and that means in general, all the time, everywhere. It does not. When you look into the scripture, this order was within the church. It has nothing to do with outside of the church. Women are not forbidden from teaching or speaking or having disagreement or prophesying, evangelizing, sharing the gospel. It's only order within the church. It has nothing to do with the outside world. In 1 Timothy, if you would keep reading the Bible just a little more on the bottom, it tells you the reason why he said these things. Timothy chapter 3:14 says, I hope to come to you soon, but I am writing these things to you so that if I delay, you may know how one ought to behave in the household of God, which is the church of the living God. Why these guys do that? Well, I know why. They want complete control because they hate women. I mean, they hate them this much. It's crazy to me, man. But, you know, I have daughters of my own, and to live a life like this, I mean, our daughters have to grow up in this world that we're building, you know, that we're helping shape up. And to teach like this, you know, you're ruining it for your daughters. You're sending them down the wrong path also. It's crazy. These dudes just want power. They want to manipulate, and they want it their way. They only care about themselves. It's me, what do I need? I need this, so therefore give it to me. So therefore obey me. That's not the way it's supposed to be, and that's not correct. It's false. Submission does not equal obeying. Remember that, guys. Last thing he points out, do men need sex? Okay, even Christians get this one wrong. A lot of people get this one wrong. I don't want to get too deep into it. I will make a separate video for this and what scripture is actually saying. I just want to make this short because of this video. I don't want it to be too long. So this scripture is taken out of context a lot. So here's the thing, and here's my take. Do men need it? No, they don't need it. Christians will say, well, yes, they do. The marriage needs it for both. That is wrong. God doesn't ever say that it is a need. God says it is a gift, because Satan can tempt you in either way. It does not mean just sex. It can mean anything within a marriage. Guys just focus on sex. That's all that is. People see it is more than that. To say that you need it, it has nothing to do with a need. I don't know why people say we need this, and they just miss the point completely of what God's actually saying here and the reason why that is there. Like I said, that's for another video. I don't want to get too deep into that, but do man need it? Does the marriage need it? Not like they're saying. They've taken it completely out of context, man. And you take their logic that they need it, and you want to use scripture to try to justify that, you will see there's contradiction in that. The Bible does not contradict itself. People don't realize that that's what they're doing, but that's exactly what they're doing.